Welcome back to Girl Take the Lead, the podcast where we challenge the status quo, share meaningful conversations, and explore what it really means to find our voice and lead with intention. And I'm your host, Canny. Have you ever experienced a moment in life that was both beautiful and a little bittersweet at the same time? Maybe a role you've held for years begins to shift. Your children grow up, relationships evolve, or life simply moves you to a new chapter. Today's guest describes that experience in a powerful way. She calls it love colliding with change. I'm so pleased to welcome Michelle Madrid, author, speaker, and midlife coach for women. As a foster child in the UK and an international adoptee, Michelle has spent much of her life exploring identity, belonging, and purpose. Today, she helps women navigate what she calls midlife grief, the quiet grief that can appear when our lives change and we begin asking a deeper question: who am I now? In this episode, Michelle shares her personal journey, the inspiration behind her unbox framework, and how acknowledging the emotions we often suppress can become the beginning of healing. This is a thoughtful conversation about grief, identity, and reclaiming your voice. Let's jump in. Here you go. Michelle, welcome to Girl Take the Lead. And thank you for taking this little journey with me as we go down this path.
It is an honor and a pleasure and a sheer joy to be sitting and sharing this space with you today. So I thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, for my viewers and listeners, we're going to be talking a little bit about both of our journeys when it's come
Mhm.
to grief. And I think let's start though first by letting our audience know about you and your background.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Madrid. Um, I'm a certified grief-informed professional, a wellness coach for midlife women, women who have journeyed the journey as adoptees like myself. I'm an author. I created the unbox framework as part of my coaching practice, which is an approach that helps midlife women, adopted women navigate what I call midlife grief,
Mhm.
which is very real and often hidden grief that shows up when the life we've built begins to shift, the roles that we've been living in begin to change. I support women who are moving through these quiet losses that come with midlife. You know, it could be kids growing up and leaving the nest, or relationships evolving, careers changing, bodies changing, caregiving demands, and that deep, deep questioning of who am I now in this
Mhm.
chapter in this season. So I believe that my work is rooted in the belief that truly, midlife grief is not a crisis as we so often hear it described as, but I believe it's a powerful messenger and even an invitation, a sign that we're being invited into our next becoming. And I like to think I companion women through that process so they don't have to feel so alone while they do the work of reclaiming their identity, their energy, and their next voice in this chapter.
Oh, I love it. Because so much of that, when you were talking, I was thinking, okay, what grief do I have going on right now? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
my daughter is actually getting married tomorrow,
Oh,
um, with wedding number one. I guess kids now have like two weddings. There's the one with the justice and the peace, and then there's the one that's the party.
yeah.
But definitely can see the shift
Hmm.
of, you know, the role. I think there's always been the shift going on of not of mom with an adult child, and then now that she's going to be starting her own real life, quote, real life with a partner, like a
Yeah.
committed relationship. And I can someone told me, "Oh, there's grief involved with that." And I went, "I'm not feeling it yet, but I probably will tomorrow."
Yeah, that's very real, Yolanda. Number one,
Mm.
congratulations. This is a beautiful moment in your life, in your daughter's life, but it is real, and you will and are having a real experience within yourself
Mhm.
as you watch this beautiful moment unfold. And it can be beautiful and it can be hard all at the same time. And I think as women,
Yeah,
we have to understand our capacity for holding the both and. It doesn't have to be one thing or the other, and we shouldn't judge ourselves about how we feel in a moment, but to give ourselves some grace and to be with ourselves and to hold
absolutely.
ourselves lovingly and tenderly. Yeah.
You know, when you and I spoke before, I mentioned to you how much I enjoyed the Francis Weller book.
Hmm.
And my key takeaway from that book was you can't have, you have to have both. You have to have grief so that you can embrace the beauty and you can embrace, and have gratitude that they are linked together. Because if you just have one, then you're not living in reality. Like they go together.
Yeah.
They
They
absolutely go together.
they
When you're,
absolutely do. I think that's just so beautiful that you pulled that bit out because it is so, so, so true. They go together. We don't have to separate the two. We can hold space for both.
yeah. So the love I have for my daughter and giving that away,
Mhm.
the two of those things together, I can just definitely see how um, they collide. I think you used the word, right? You said
Yeah.
something about love colliding with change.
Yes, that is my definition of midlife grief. I think it's love colliding with change. It's a grief that often goes unnamed, right? We don't talk about these feelings enough. Um, and it holds these hidden losses. And it's so important that we allow those hidden losses, those secondary losses, as they're often called, to surface and to give them breath to speak and be acknowledged. And so, I look back at my own certification as a grief-informed professional, and we spent a good deal of time looking at those hidden secondary losses. They're that important. Like the grief of being less needed, or we feel that we're becoming less needed, as perhaps example, mothers empty nesting, or mothers on the verge of watching a child walk down the aisle and saying I do and starting that chapter of their life. The grief of not knowing who we are outside of our roles, the roles that we've been living for years and years and years, the grief of dreams we've postponed, all of it. These aren't considered primary losses. No one has passed away, for example. And yet we feel that something almost seismic has shifted,
Mm,
a role, a routine, a relationship dynamic, a purpose we once lived inside of, yet there is loss. And we are so often conditioned as women to suppress that loss, box it away, hold quietly the weight of those losses. Abraham Maslow, I love Abraham Maslow's work. He wrote of self-suppression years ago, I think way back in the 60s, 70s, and the damage done when we, as he put it, suppress our innate nature.
mm,
And I like to say that I'm here to help women unsuppress
yeah.
and to unbox the thoughts, the dreams, the desires, the emotions that they've packed away. And I know all too well that sense of dis-ease that comes with holding the weight of what we've suppressed. And it hurts. And I know it intimately just through my journey as an adoptee.
Mm,
Um, but have also, and here's the light in the tunnel that can feel so dark at times. I know there's a way out. And it's that transformative process that I like to focus on and help women through.
sure. Well, I think you make the point in your book that adoptees are not encouraged or allowed to have grief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is there shame attached to it? Is there what emotions seem to go hand in hand with that?
Oh, shame, yes. The heavy cloak of shame. Guilt,
Guilt.
um, a sense of perhaps, well, confusion and embarrassment sometimes for having the thoughts that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Self-judgment, if there's is there something wrong with me that I, for instance, being told how lucky I am to be in this family, yet I still quietly, in the darkness of my room, in the dark of night, in my bed, as I'm closing my eyes, wonder about the family that came before. Is it all right for me to have love for them? Is that a sin? Is that wrong? And so there's just so much that we feel as adoptees stirring within us. And what has been, and I think we are evolving
Mm-hmm.
this conversation forward, but what has been, and certainly was the environment when I was growing up, of there was just no space, no room to express those kind of feelings. And so there's a lot of responsibility I think adoptees have, especially adoptees. If you talk to adoptees who are now in midlife, will say to you, I felt this weight of responsibility as a child
Right.
to really edit my thoughts and be very, very careful of how I placed my words, my thoughts, how I would express myself if I could express myself. And so very often it was just holding it all in. And we know, and science tells us that this is a very dangerous practice. We cannot hold these emotions
Mm-hmm.
forever. It's not sustainable. And at some point, these places, these boxes, as I like to call them, must be opened up and
Mm.
explored if we're going to move forward healthy and whole as human beings. Whether I'm labeled as an adoptee or non-adoptee, or just as a human being, I want to live the fullest expression of who I am.
Yeah.
And how can I do that if so many parts of me are boxed away? And I think that goes right back to the grief that we feel in life as adoptees, as midlife women, as empty nesters, is the suppression of these emotions because we feel that it just won't be acceptable to share,
Right.
to bring out into the light, to let breathe.
Yeah. So, one of the things about grief
Mm,
and healing that I really got in your book was this unboxing of it, like looking at it, having courage almost,
mm.
um, and dealing with the trauma.
Yeah.
Now, in whether you're adopted or you're not, there could be just that trauma, that early trauma,
Mm.
and my heart goes for the adoptee because that trauma is so huge. The whole, why don't you talk a little bit so that other people understand the whole mother womb heal, the trauma there and
Yeah.
how, and the science is telling us that all of these things are real.
Yeah, they're real. Thank you for that. When I believe that it all starts in the womb. In my own personal life experience, and I can share with you, I write about it in the book. I know, science says that when we're in the womb, we are mother-child, not mother and child. We are one. And what the mother experiences, the child is experiencing as well within the womb, right inside of the womb.
Mhm.
And I write in the book that I spent, my time in my mother's womb treading the waters of life because she went on three different occasions
Mhm.
to seek professional support as she tried to weigh what her decisions were in whether she would keep me or terminate her pregnancy.
Mhm.
My mom was married, and had three children. She was a woman in her 30s and she had had an affair, and I was the product of that affair. So these were difficult, uncomfortable circumstances. But I think, and I know, and science is proving that we come into the world as newborn children with a lot of information
Mhm.
that has been relayed to us within the womb. And I feel, in all the work that I've done, all the alternative modalities of healing that I've worked through and studied, that I came into the world feeling unwanted.
Mhm.
I was very sick as a baby. I was placed into foster care early. I lost a large amount of weight. Doctors said there was nothing wrong with me, and I often look back and think, how could there not be? I'd lost my mother. I'd lost my parents. I'd lost the very people that I should have been able to trust the most, and they disappeared and they moved
Yeah.
on with their lives. And so in foster care, I was placed, labeled with labels like difficult to place. Social workers wondered if I would be able to find a family, if they'd be able to match me with a forever family because of my background. Father was Spanish. I was very dark as a child, which I've come to embrace my Spanish brown eyes,
Let's hear it.
you know. But
Listen, half Mexican girl over here.
see,
So,
there you go, my sister.
yeah.
Um, and things about me physically that I used to curse, I now bless, and um it is just has been a journey of feeling as a young child, well, it must be me. It must have been me. I did something wrong, but I can't place my finger on it. After I was adopted, my name was changed from Julia Dawn to Michelle. And so this person I was no longer there. This name that I'd been given vanished, and I didn't know where to place that person, that
Yeah.
identity, if you will. And so um, there has been a struggle for me in my life to come to a place of identity that feels true and right for me, to be bold in those decisions, um, to be in some ways inconveniently, well, let's put it this way, confidently inconvenient,
Mhm.
to speak my truth because it is my truth, and that's worth something,
Yeah.
and to believe in my worth. And so the journey of identity and self-worth, and belonging has really been my path.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I wonder about is grief just seizes us. It's not
Mm,
like we can choose when it visits. It
mhm,
just it just comes. And to heal around that trauma or that what's underlying the grief and being able to really unbox it like you talk about,
mhm,
um, it's a process and it's work,
mhm.
but it's so important to do. Like you said, if you don't do that, things just escalate.
Yeah, yeah. They pile up and then they come out sideways.
Is it that, perhaps it's accepting, like in your case, you had a chat, you call it adoptees have a first chapter.
Mhm,
Um, and I wonder if those of us that did have trauma with our mothers, because that stress, of course, I mean, if in my case, my mother wasn't married, and so that I'm sure was very stressful. Um, all of those hormones, the stress hormones, and everything, like you said, we're one, so the baby absorbs that. That we can begin to understand a little bit of our own pattern for grief and how that plays a role in our life.
Absolutely. And if I look back, I reunited with my birth mom in England when I was a teen, around the age of 15. And I thought when I went on that first trip for reunion, I had a list of questions. And I thought, I'm going to get all the answers and everything's going to be fine now because I'm going to know. And I had these questions and I would ask her, and she would just look at me and say, I don't remember.
Mm.
And I knew that she did, but there was so much suppressed within her.
Yeah.
And I look back at that knowing that my dear mom didn't have the tools at the time to understand that she could open up those places and that if she did, she would feel so much better. There would be an ocean of healing that she would be swimming in, right? If she could just express those unexpressed parts of herself. But that wasn't something she was capable of doing at the time. And I saw that as example. I also was growing up in an adoptive home with a father who struggled with alcohol addiction, and we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about things. So this legacy of suppression has been one I've had to, I mean, learned, and I think just on the biological level, something passed to me has been something that I have had to grapple with and find my way out of. And I can only tell you it has made me so passionate about this conversation
Yeah.
of unsuppressing our grief and talking about it. It's
I
so
think you also, I'm sorry, it also brings, you also bring up the point, I think, in your book about looking at those limiting beliefs.
important.
And I got to tell you, there were a couple times, I want to just read a couple
Please.
things to you that just blew me away. You make the point, we're not here as adoptees to live someone else's life. That
Mhm.
was about your your mother, I think. Um, and then you also said the baggage of others was never the adoptee's burden to carry. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so good. That was so good. Both of those were really, really, because I'm not adopted, but I looked at that and I went, oh, girlfriend, I can totally relate to those.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're told things like your mother saying, you can't go and meet your biological mother because, she just wouldn't allow you to do it or something. And I thought, and you said that was her fear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I went, yeah, our mothers have a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And unless we're able to like distance ourselves, unpack it, as you said, look at what's underlying that fear, what belief is living there, so that we can like face it and go, okay, wait, I don't need that belief anymore. I'm okay. I can
Yeah.
make these decisions myself.
Absolutely. And that was huge for me. I that baggage piece, the baggage of others was never the adoptee's burden to carry,
Mm-hmm.
was a life lesson. And when I learned it and I began to put those things down that were never mine to carry, and I looked at the little girl, the young me, the first me, the little girl trying to make sense of her life and her identity and her place in this world while carrying that heavy load, that
Mm-hmm.
invisible baggage that no one could see, but I could feel. I have a lot of respect for that little girl and the strength it took for her to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And the limiting beliefs that came with that baggage. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable, right? I'm just this illegitimate child. Who would want me? I'm an embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how damaging were those limiting beliefs? And when I began to look at them and unpack them and then shift them, like I was never illegitimate. And I like to say I'm a legitimate light in this world. And it is my responsibility to shine this one unique light that I've been given. I mean, these might seem like a slight little reframe, so
Mm-hmm.
powerful that when I say it, I still get, the
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we're not here as adoptees, as you just read, or as anyone, adoptee, non-adoptee, male, female, to live someone else's life. We have been given this one unique, incredible
Mm,
life to live. And the suppressing of who we really are, the suppressing of our innate nature, we can never shine that light and live the life that feels truest to us while we're doing that. And I think that is just as simple and as complicated as that is, that has always just been my dream. I just
mm,
want to live a life that's true to me, a life that feels pure to who I am. I want to hear my own voice when I speak. I don't want to regurgitate someone else's thoughts and beliefs. I
mhm,
don't want to have to say, oh yeah, I'm very grateful for being adopted. Well, I can be grateful and also be grieving
mhm,
all at the same time. And what would that have been like as a child to have been able to say, well, I am grateful, I love my family, but I also really grieve the people I lost. I feel them inside of me, and it hurts.
mhm,
When we give people that space to express all of what they're feeling, I think that's just a beautiful gift.
mhm.
And I want to give that to myself, and I want to give it to others, and I want to help others arrive at that place too for themselves.
Well, I think that permission is essential for healing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It is self permission. I'm no longer looking outside of myself for permission to belong,
Mm,
to be legitimate in this world, to have a voice. No, that comes from within. It all starts within us. What
mhm.
is that saying? If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
If it's going to be, it's up to me. And I truly believe each and every one of us holds within ourselves everything we need right now to transform our lives. It's just giving, not just, but it is giving ourselves the permission to access those places and allowing ourselves moments of stillness and inner connection. So we really start to speak fluently our own language,
Yeah.
connecting to our own voice.
There, you asked me before we started recording, like what spoke to me the most, right? And I told you there would be a few things here.
Yeah.
In chapter 8, the pitfalls of performance,
Mm.
I just want to read a couple of things here because
Yeah.
you wrote, it doesn't feel good to me, but I'll always do it anyway if it makes them happy.
Mm.
I just went, okay, girlfriend, we're talking, you're talking my language because
Yeah.
that was definitely me trying to be the good girl.
Mm.
And you wrote, these words bring tears to my eyes as I write them. I said these words to myself countless times while growing up adopted. I know just how much these words hurt and how small you can feel when this is the messaging in your head day in and day out.
Mm.
And you went on to say, now people pleasing is a trauma response that at its core is rooted in a lack of self value.
Mm.
Mm.
Yep.
And I went, yes, because I know you're writing this for the adoptee, but for all of us who have had trauma, um, the people pleasing part just pops up like, how am I going to survive this? So I'm going to be the good girl or navigate this by doing what I think they want me to do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you get to that point of healing and you go, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yes, totally. It's,
It's just not sustainable. And I remember for so long, and so many women I coach, we struggle with people pleasing. Um, and it is a trauma response. Mine was rooted in I didn't want to be rejected. I just wanted to be loved. So what can I do to please everyone around me? Because then I'll stay safe. But when we please others, I have a friend who says, when we're going out and we're pleasing others and we're left feeling sad and bad, that's a really bad trade,
mm,
not a good trade. And it is a form of self-abandonment. I'm leaving myself. I'm abandoning myself, the greatest tragedy of them all, in order to go out and seek out approval and be what others want me to be, even if it's not true to who I really am.
Mhm.
And it is a tragedy. It is a tragedy. Yet, for so long, my people pleasing was, a daily thing. And I don't judge myself for that because I know it was a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
But at some point, I had to be really real with myself and say
Mhm.
that's no longer sustainable because I, as I looked at myself in the mirror, am not going to abandon you anymore, Michelle, my dear Michelle. And
Mhm.
also, I did it for my first me, Julia Dawn. I did it for her too,
Mhm.
because how do I move forward, even though it didn't please people and certainly I'm sure that my adoptive mother grappled with this, but when I started to talk about that little girl and what she had gone through and how I want to hold my hand out to her now and say, Big Julia Dawn, known as Michelle, is here, and I'm taking your hand, and we're going to move forward together, not separate from one another. No, 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 not anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to move forward no matter what that means.
Mhm.
No matter if people don't understand, they question it, they scratch their heads. That's okay. Let them. But be true to yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that's a lesson, certainly for all of us. And I really appreciate you bringing that out from the book. Yes, the pitfalls of performance. We've all been there.
Well, you also say this too, which I think is so good and appropriate for what we were just talking about. Adoptees can't heal if they keep pretending that they aren't hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
That was another one that really spoke to me too, because I think sometimes, especially if you're high achieving
yeah.
people pleaser,
I'm raising my hand.
our viewers and listeners, you can raise your hand
Yeah,
too, because I bet you
absolutely.
you've fallen with us.
That's right.
Um, yeah, the pretending or the, oh, I'm okay. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. But you feel an ache and you feel it and it's real. And you're like, no, 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 no. There must be something wrong with me that I'm feeling this and it's not acceptable. So I'm going to suppress it. I'm going to box it away. But what we tend to forget is beneath every ache is a need.
Mm,
And if we're not willing to look at the hurt, as you said, adoptees can't heal if they keep pretending that they don't hurt. People can't heal if
yeah.
we keep pretending we don't hurt. If we don't look at the hurt or the ache or the pain, however you want to term it, we can never get to the need because right under that ache, as I like to call it, is a need. And I move women through, a reset called From Ache to Action, where we so often feel so stuck in the ache.
Mm,
And we think to get out of the ache or to get to feel some forward momentum or to start feeling even a little bit unstuck, we have to do something big, massive, right? But it's
mhm,
really in the moment of stopping and acknowledging the ache, understanding where it's sitting in your body, it's in your chest, your belly, put your hands over that area, breathe into it, and ask it what it needs. And 99% of the time, you're going to hear something. This is what I need. I need you to, maybe it's, I just need you to acknowledge me. I need you to name me out loud, you know?
mhm,
A woman I was coaching this morning in the UK, and her need was just acknowledging that the grief she was holding was for what wasn't, what
mhm,
never had been. Growing up in a family, it was a really hard childhood for her. And she feels this grief of what wasn't, what she wish could have been, the kind of family she wished she could have grown up in.
mhm,
And then once we've connected to that ache where it is in our body, we ask it what it needs, we hear something, then we take a small action. You likely know of the Kaizen method. This is one small action. We can do that. That's doable. If it feels overwhelming, our nervous system shuts down. Popularity of the book, Atomic Habits, right? Small actions done consistently lead to big impact. It's that. We take one small step of grace, one tender step where you're honoring yourself and your need. And lo and behold, you feel yourself move just a little bit forward. And
mhm,
that's powerful. And when we do that consistently, and we start noticing the ache, listening to what it needs, and taking that true, authentic step. What is it that we need? Because we don't ask ourselves that enough as women, as mothers.
Yeah.
What is it that I need? Right?
So wonderful.
It's a
You,
way of honoring that ache, honoring the grief that may come up for us in a day, in a moment, and
yeah.
we can hold space for ourselves.
I think you also mentioned in the book using okay, I never can say this very well,
Mhm.
the Hopopono um, approach.
Yeah,
Sorry, say it correctly if I didn't. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
And you say, I always thought it was to use it with towards somebody else, like you did with your dad.
yeah,
But you put in there too that we can do it to ourselves.
yeah. Ho'oponopono. I learned this years ago. Ancient Hawaiian prayer. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I mean, I've done that with myself. I put my hands over my heart space and I breathe into my heart space and I just stop and say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I
Mm,
say it over and over and over again until whatever it is that I'm feeling in the moment, the sadness, the grief, just it begins to soften when
mm,
I'm showing myself that kind of compassion. It's the belief that when we change our internal world, our internal environment, the exterior outside world will change too, but it starts within us. And I like to use Ho'oponopono in that way of just showing myself grace, connecting with myself. I
mm,
love you. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry could be for any way that I've not stopped and heard your need, any way that I haven't believed in you, any time I've second guessed you. I'm sorry. And
yeah.
please forgive me. I believe in the power of self-forgiveness. Let it go. Let it be your teacher. And then
Mm,
always end with gratitude. Thank you. Simple, but so profound, Yolanda.
I know. Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of we could talk forever. You
I
and
would love that. Let me clear my calendar from here to
I.
eternity, and I'm going to sit here and talk with you.
Oh, so good. There is one thing I would like to end on.
Sure.
One more of your affirmations that you have in the book.
Mm,
The light around me is great, but the light within me is greater.
yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to cry.
Is there any? I thought that was just so good for us all to remember, and for of our listeners, if you would just sort of let that in there for you for a moment, just so that you get that too.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so true. The light around us is great, but the light within us is greater. And I used to hold on to that song as a little girl, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I used
Mm.
to sing that to myself over and over again, and it has evolved into that affirmation, but I believe it with all that I am. If we could all just connect with and believe in the light within us and allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to let it shine and to peel away, cast away, unbox, heal any shadow that is keeping that light from illuminating at its greatest, brightest potential.
Mm. So, is that what you would tell your 20 something self?
Oh, so much I would tell her. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Speak your thoughts, your truth, your feelings, even if others don't think it's convenient or comfortable. You don't have to earn your worth. You don't have to abandon yourself to belong. Love yourself fiercely. Your voice matters, your needs matter, and that light within you, oh my darling, let it shine. Yes.
Mm. So, the last question, I don't know if you got a chance to go to our online store. Did you get a chance to pick something for yourself?
Absolutely did. Thank you. That was really fun and joy-filled. So thank you.
What did you pick?
I love the card that says, Be you, the world will adjust. I thought, well, that's it in a nutshell, Michelle.
I love that one too. It's my one of my messier ones because the types of crayons that I use are very waxy and they
Love
don't
that.
go into the little holes exactly right. And it's just so fun to make because it
I
is
love that.
definitely a messy one.
You know, there's miracle in the mess. And within the messiness of how you describe, the crayons and all that, that miracle, those miracle words, be you, the world will adjust. What a gift. So, I read that and I said, yes, indeed, my truth is going to be I'll be me and the world can adjust and that's okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your book. And we should tell everybody it's called Let Us Be Greater. And it's available at, I would
Yeah.
assume,
Amazon, wherever books are sold, it's
that's what it
there.
looks like.
Thank you for holding that in your beautiful.
Oh, yes, definitely. I think everyone should read it
Thank you.
totally because I think we all have trauma.
Yeah. We all have trauma, and it's okay to say that because we live in an imperfect world, and trauma is very real, and it touches each and every one of us. And we need to talk about it. We need to be united by it and through it.
Yeah.
And we need
Yeah.
to be able to hold space for ourselves and each other in the conversation.
So, is there anything that more you want to tell our audience about how they can find you and follow you and work with you?
Oh my goodness, thank you. Yeah, just, I would love folks if they're on Instagram, join me on Instagram at the Michelle Madrid. I would love to see you there. You've mentioned the book. My website is themichellemadrid.com. You can go there and learn more about my work, my coaching. We're going to be sharing more on what's coming up in 2026. I look forward to building more and more beautiful offerings for women in midlife, and of course, women who have been through this adoptee experience, or, it's a lifelong experience. So I like to think that we're here for each other, and I'm certainly standing with them and for them. So
Mm.
thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
My sincere thanks to Michelle for joining us for such an honest and meaningful conversation. One of the ideas that really stayed with me from this episode is Michelle's reminder that grief isn't always about loss. Sometimes it's simply love colliding with change. Here's 3 reflections to carry with you. 1, grief can appear during life transitions, not just loss. 2, healing begins when we stop pretending we're fine and acknowledge what we feel. And 3, perhaps most importantly, the light around us may be great, but the light within us is greater. If you'd like to learn more about Michelle's work, visit her website and look at our show notes for all her contact information. Next week on Girl Take the Lead, we welcome back a returning guest. In episode 282, leadership coach and author Michelle Phillips returns to the show. You may remember Michelle from episode 130, and now she's back with her new book, Energize Your Happiness, exploring how our beliefs and personal energy shape the outcomes we create in our lives. It's another powerful conversation about shifting from adrenaline to alignment and learning how to direct our energy toward what we really want. You won't want to miss it. As always, thank you for listening and for being part of this community. Couldn't do it without you. Until next time, listen inward, lead outward, and remember, the light within you is greater than you think. Talk soon. Bye.